easy to wear a mask. However, that's not necessarily the person you are or the person you want to be. It's all about perception. I'm Baron Araignee.
And I'm Baroness Araignee. So, who is Baron Baroness Araignee? In this video, we will allow you to get to know us a bit better.
All the books we have ever self-published, we have mastered the subjects within those books, whether it might be necromancy, witchcraft, or high magic, and so forth. However, that doesn't mean it's necessarily a part of what we practice to date.
We have, of course, practiced the many rituals in those said books. We have worked with the many beings that we have written about in those books. But our personal practices today varies quite a bit from what we used to practice.
Yes, what we are concentrating on as our path is spiritual ascension. Okay, this is the most important things to us, next to one another, of course.
Spiritual ascension, to those of you who don't know, of course, is to grow and develop yourself spiritually, to reach your full and true potential, not just for this world, but in the next as well. Because this life is just a drop of water in the whole ocean and more.
Definitely. And a part of our workings or our paradigm or path is we use what works and discard the rest, irrelevant of the subject matter or belief thereof.
And this means that in the various paradigms that we've delved into and worked through, we take literally what works for us. If we like it, if we associate with it, and then we take it. But if we don't like it and we don't associate with it, regardless what it may be, then we just simply don't include it in our personal practices.
Whether it's black witchcraft, necromancy from European or African tradition, we will use whatever works. Same with high magic and all other paradigms in the occult.
That's why some people have even started to label us as chaos mages, because we always get questions about our personal, our paradigm or path. We always get questions concerning that, and we guess just sometimes it can be a little bit, confusing to understand.
Yeah. Well, we are in fact not chaos mages, and we only use chaos magic when it's applicable to that point in time if we have to assist our clients in such a way. As we mentioned, we make use of what works and just discard the rest.
On the start of both of our spiritual journeys, of course, we worked with many beings and spirits, and you name it. We worked with so many of them that honestly we cannot even remember most of them. But now we have outgrown most of them.
And this is something that happens while you on the path of spiritual ascension. For example, if you're a novice and you start working with certain archetypes or beings in your path of the occult, then you will work with them very closely and you will learn a lot from them. But once that being cannot teach you anything significant which will assist you in your spiritual growth, then you move on to something more powerful, obviously.
So that's where we are at this point in time. Even though we still work very closely with only a very select few in our personal practices, we don't work with all of them as we used to, due to...
Yeah.
As
we've written in the book of necromancy, there's one being we work with, specifically Rex Mortis, and that is the one being which is on top of our pantheon, which we respect greatly and revere. We do not worship, but we respect.
In our personal practices, that is of course the things that we do for ourselves. That is not for our clients, or that is not to do with our business, is of course our own personal practices. And mainly we make use of our own faculties more than we would, say, work with external forces. We prefer to use our own set of skills that we have picked up through the years.
Yeah. And basically, we won't go in much about our own personal practices, as it is personal, and that is something we will not part with. We will take that to the grave with us.
As we've written elsewhere, I believe, that no true practitioner will divulge all of their secrets, ever, not even beyond the grave. So we have no religious beliefs whatsoever.
Simply because we're not interested in religion at all. We've studied numerous religions, including Islam, Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, and amongst a few. And the reason why we have no interest in religion, first point, man is fallible. Man created religion, thus making religion fallible.
And if you try to disprove this, think very carefully, because think of all the deities and everything, beings out there in existence. Do you seriously think that they started certain religious movements by themselves because they wanted to? No, it was created by people, by humans, by mankind.
Now, Chris, interesting thing about that is we saw something on YouTube. I think it was a pic or something that was posted there. And the actor Brand said, had a conversation with someone, and he said, yes, well, no, the religion, or the Christian religion, was inspired by the Holy Spirit. And he said, yes, but the Holy Spirit doesn't have a pen. Interesting.
As well, again, you probably read this again somewhere, perhaps. Both of us were indoctrinated into Christianity, obviously since young ages. Most people usually are indoctrinated into a certain religion when they are young. So honestly, we've been there, we've done that. The reason why we study different religious beliefs in detail and in depth is because we adore the truth. We are on the hunt for the truth. And believe it or not, you can actually find the truth in the strangest of places.
Definitely, yeah. We respect some individuals in history, which is linked to some religious beliefs. However, the religion itself, we do not respect, because religion all started as a cult and fanaticism. So we are simply not interested in that, as it's not part of our path, paradigm, or divine law and will. Yeah.
Also, number two, why we dislike religion is because people tend to use religion as a crutch to not grow spiritually. Think very carefully about this. Whether you know someone who's highly religious or whatever, they do tend to use it as a crutch instead of, say, trying to fix a situation themselves, say via their own capabilities, or even if they do not practice any form of the arcane arts, using what they have themselves, even if it's such a small little situation. Instead, they would prefer to run to their religious beliefs to find assistance, where they can most times do it themselves.
Yes, they leave their petitions and their prayers at the altars of their so-called gods, instead of taking the initiative and working on their own spirituality and overcoming these problems and obstacles in their lives. You see, it's due to laziness, spiritual laziness, that these people do not want to do it themselves. They're more than capable of doing it, but they choose not to. We always say, as within, so without, because all magic starts within, then it flows outwards.
And honestly, 3, whatever your path may be in your current paradigm or whatever your goals are, your end goals are, whether it be power, whatever it may be, you will never, ever, ever achieve that goal, any goal you may have, by groveling and bowing at the altars of gods and beings.
Yeah, what you mean by a goal is by spiritual ascension. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to you as an individual. That beings only can help you so far, you see. And then at the end of the day, nothing is left to you to develop yourself spiritually, as my wife can actually explain much better than me concerning this.
Okay. The thing with that is that beings, without going into too much detail, they are obviously very numerous. There are more out there than what is known to people today. So these beings that do come into contact with people, they do not do it for this or that, because do you seriously think that they actually care about if you get a job or not, etc., etc., etc.? It is for your personal spiritual growth and ascension, development, so that you do not need any outside assistance in order to achieve it by yourself. This means that at that point in time, when you contact them the first time, then you are, say, not so spiritually ascended. Say you're spiritually a bit weaker, per se. Then they will assist you with small matters that may be on your mind at that point in time, so that you can focus more on your personal spiritual growth. They do not do that out of the kindness of their being, whatever. They don't. Honestly, they don't. So they help you until you can do it yourself. More adept practitioners, you would probably recognize this. You would work for a very long time with certain beings, and they would always work so well with you, and then one day they just don't anymore for no apparent reason. That is the reasons, because you outgrown them. You cannot ascend if you keep on running to them for the smallest of little things and not work on yourself.
Yeah, and we just spoke earlier on as using religion and deities as a crutch. That's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
So again, you know what? This is a video about us and our beliefs and whatever. So make of it as you want to. And that being said, we're not advocates to become a god. We are advocates of spiritual growth and ascension.
Yeah, in our own personal life. We cannot help anyone spiritually ascend.
That's true. Even though some people, some of our clients, we do suggest it to them. We do suggest that they do self-work. We always do that. But again, we cannot convince you of anything. After all, it will not change us personally if you take our advice or not, or if you even pay attention to, say, these videos or not. It would not change us. But it might change you.
And another popular question is how we met each other. Well, that's between my wife and I, for that matter. But what we can say is it's about synchronicity, and we are destined to be together. And that's simply it.
Just as, say, if it's not your time to die, you will not die. And if it's your time to die, you will die. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
We do not like to label ourselves as anything. We're not right-handed nor left-handed nor whatever. We do not like to do that because labels are limiting, as we've written somewhere else, I believe.
Yeah, it is limiting. You see, you cannot grow spiritually if you limit yourself only to one belief or paradigm. Just as, for example, if you take the Kabbalah as an example, it's got two sides to it, right? You have to path work, both of them, in order to complete the great work. You cannot just do one side, the tree of life, and then the tree of death. You cannot just do one or the other. You have to do both sides in order to make it complete. All right. So that's part of the reason why we do not just go on the left-handed side or the right-handed side. We have been labeled as many things, however, that is false, incorrect. That's just due to perception. However, the truth is not always in perception.
And of course, over the years, perception changes, and you grow distanced to certain practices that you used to be very fond of due to experience and wisdom. again, this is up to spiritual growth. That is when, say, a good example of that as well is, say, when you first started in, say, magic, and you are absolutely infatuated with the Goetia, you are out there, and then you cannot get enough of them, and you carry on and you carry on and you carry on. Just one day, you look at them and you realize, you know what?
That's all the fuss about.
Yeah,
Exactly.
What's the big thing about this?
Just as we mentioned earlier on, you grow certain beings and deities and etc. and so forth. This will happen. It's just part of the path we are on, and it's a personal thing.
And all of this that we're saying, even all our videos, everything we write, it's not about us being holier than thou or anything. Not at all. It's just a personal choice.
Yeah, so it's not, we're not out to discriminate or criticize anybody else. This is our personal opinion and our findings in our path. And we cannot be dissuaded or changed in any way, shape or form from the path we are on. Because we have basically no interest, no quarrels with anyone concerning this.
And as you all have heard us say before, we live according to our own divine law and will. This means that laws placed upon people by others, say that you would find in certain paths of the occult, certain laws and this and that. We do not follow things like that. We live according to our own divine law and will, which is what we deem the right, wrong, whatever, to us personally.
What is acceptable or not acceptable to us, in short, basically.
Basically.
Yes. And we always remain true to ourselves. We will never betray ourselves or become sellouts.
Never. So you can rest assured about that you're not going to see some strange things in the future. And as always, spiritual ascension is continuous. You work at it every single moment of every single day. So if you might be thinking of pursuing the path actively of spiritual growth and ascension, you're in for a lot of hard work, but it really, really pays off.
It does indeed. The truth of the matter is, it's not for everybody. That's just the truth of it. Not a lot of people will be able to do this, but everyone is capable of spiritually ascending. It's simple choice and determination. That's all it is. But you see that most of the people are too comfortable with this world and the things of this world. That's why they belong to this world and they can never ascend.
So, thereby, if you are truly, truly unhappy with this world of the flesh, of greed and lust and everything else, all its vices, then you are more prone to wish to ascend. Because, of course, ascension, if you reach the top point of it, then of course you're content. Yes,
and we're not promoting thoughts of depression or suicide or anything. No, this is actually enlightenment. It's non-negative, a state of awareness. All right. So yeah.
And our path does not include just trying to help everyone ascend, as we cannot. As we mentioned, it is your personal choice.
Yeah, it's individual's choice. And like we said, we're not the advocates for any movements or paradigms, as we do not follow a mainstream's belief, but we follow our own path.
We can only present material to you, the individual, and it is your choice what you make of it. I said it again, we'll say it again. It will not change us in any way, but it might change your life and perception if you choose it to.
Yeah, the only thing you need is a willingness to want to change, if it is your will to do so.
The will is a very powerful thing, and you should never underestimate that.
Well, we hope this has been informative and you got to know us a bit better.
And thank you for watching our video, and do keep in touch.
And always remember,
as within,
so without,
as above,
so below.
Namaste.
Namaste.